Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Simplify Podcast. My name is Scott Hilse. Now, this podcast is brought to you by myself. If you would like a free trial of Shopify, as well as a free Shopify course in which I will teach you how to build, launch, and advertise your very own e-commerce store completely for free. I literally have nothing to sell you, and that course used to be $500, and now I'm just giving it away. So go to simplifydropshipping.com to claim those offers and support this podcast by supporting yourself and starting your very first e-commerce store today. Now, on to the podcast.
What's up, Harry?
What's going on, my friend?
I always wonder, how come you went with Beast of Ecom instead of your actual name?
It's funny you say that. I've been asked this question once. And the reason why, first and foremost, is I thought my name was just so mundane.
And what's your last name?
Coleman.
Harry Coleman.
Yeah, so it's like one of those names where it's like, there's probably 10,000 Harry Colemans out there.
Sounds like an actor.
Yeah, I know. So I was looking at like, you know, Mr. Beast and KSI, and they kind of had like an alias. So I thought, let me come up with some sort of alias. And I was thinking about like Wolf of Ecom and, you know, those so cliche, stupid ones. And then something just clicked. I was just like, Beast of Ecom. That clicks. And the reason why I stuck with Beast of Ecom was because what I wanted was, you know, the name to be across every single social media. So I wanted the URL to be available. I wanted the Twitter to be available. I wanted the IG to be available. And yeah, Beast of Ecom was the one that was available. So I just kind of stuck with it and ran.
Be honest, did you think about doing Mr. Beast of Ecom?
I'll probably catch a lawsuit, dude.
Mr. Beast of Ecom.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to find myself in hot water. So I just thought.
That makes sense.
It kind of had like a ring to it as well.
Yeah.
So I just thought, let's just run with it.
Yeah. Well, we're out here in London. You just drove down from Birmingham. By the way, do you mind? Are you able to like scoot up just a little bit more? Sure. These mics are very directional. Very directional. I actually saw Ed Sheeran recording on these with the. Did you hear the new Ed Sheeran Russ song?
I haven't. No.
They like sampled his voice, and he's recording like this, like his voice, because like. It's so omnidirectional that like the closer you get, the better. So that's why like Joe Rogan's always like pushing them up to people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just drove down from Birmingham, and so is that where you're originally from? Yeah,
that's where I was born. But like we said, most of my family live down here. You see, so you know, I like being away from London, but it's always good to come down and experience, you know, London in all of its pleasures. So. Couldn't live here, but yeah, it's nice to be away from all of the hustle and bustle because there's so much to do here as well. So like you can get distracted, and I like to be in my own little bubble, get work done, and then when I want to go and experience a night out or friends, whatever it may be, London's a good place to come down.
And there's so many people. We're walking around, and it's just endless amounts of people left and right, up and down, like everywhere you look.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were down here?
Last time I was down here was for my friend's birthday, and that conversation that we had with the Ferrari the F8, that was when last time I actually came down here. So if I do come down here, then the thing is like London's good for a night out, but the thing is because it's like expensive, you're kind of worth it. It makes sense to just go abroad. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because like you can do the same that you would do over here than what you could do in, like, say, Barcelona or Paris in a night. And Paris is a little bit cheaper if you're talking about tables, bottles, and all those kind of things than London. So it weighs up. Do you want to be around the exact same people all of the time here in London, or would you experience going away to Paris, Barcelona, wherever it may be, where you get the pleasures of a beach, etc., etc. So, you know, it just makes sense to either go away or come down here.
I've heard good and bad things about Paris. Like either people hate it or people love it. Was your experience like pretty good overall?
I've been to Paris twice, and like last time we went, it was cool. It was chill, you know. Like you just got scooters, went out both nights at okay restaurants. But the people themselves, French people, if you're not from there, they can be a little bit rude. You know?
Yeah, I hear they don't like Americans too.
Yeah, I don't think they like Americans. I don't think they like English. I think they assume that you. I think they like you to try. So if you go in there and say hello, you know, kind of thing, it's like, kind of vibe. Whereas if you go in there and say bonjour and try and, at least try, then you get you might get some dirty looks and stuff like that. But if you've never been to Paris, I would recommend going just for the sake of going and checking it out, and the Eiffel Tower and all the history of the actual city itself. But I've never really had experienced any kind of like bad vibes there, apart from people kind of turning their nose or giving you a little, dirty look or so.
Well, I've heard like pickpocketers can be a big issue over there.
No,
You didn't experience that at all?
No, none of that. Well, yeah, no, I don't think I experienced anything like that. Go over there with zip pockets and, you shouldn't have any issues, or carry a bag. But
yeah,
no, just, it's like that in any places. You can have some pickpockets here in London as well. You just got to be wary about yourself, and that's kind of like wherever you want to go.
The way I see it is, if you don't have anything in your pockets, I got nothing to pick.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I think people are smart enough to not steal iPhones nowadays. Because like, if you're stealing an iPhone, what are you really doing? Like, can you really like get into an iPhone if it's like stolen? I've never heard of like such a thing.
I don't think you can. And nowadays, most people have like follow my iPhone on it, so you can like track your stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like, if you lose it, then 9 times out of 10 you can get it back. And then like nowadays, it's hard to like. Remember, like the first iPhones, people would like jailbreak them and, get all crazy apps on them, all that kind of stuff. I'm not sure if that's even like a possibility now. Obviously, Apple have caught on to technology evolves.
Yeah. Did you used to jailbreak your iPhones or iPod Touches?
I had one. I think I used to have one. I think I used to jailbreak because they used to have the Apple. What was the one I used to have the iPod? You used to have the Apple iPod, but it was touchscreen.
iPod Touch.
Yeah, that was it. I think I used to jailbreak one of those.
Same.
But apart from that, yeah, I never really went down a jailbreak route.
Do you remember? Wasn't it like Cydia? Cydia was like the app where you downloaded everything.
That was the one. In Cydia, and you used to like jailbreak it and get like crazy stuff on there and stuff like that.
That was the best. That was like the prime time, because I remember I had an iPod Touch and I really wanted an iPhone, but I couldn't. And I remember the IMT Pain app came out where you can have like the auto tune, and then that's right when the headphones came out with the mic at the time. And so that just blew my mind back in the day. I remember I just spent hours on the iPod Touch. It's like, it's so weird thinking about how captivated I was by this iPod Touch, not realizing how basically the whole world would be so captivated that now it's like, we were talking, you go to a concert or you go to a club or something, it's just like damn near everybody would rather be on the captivating technology than in the moment that's surrounding.
Because you make music as well, right? Or you like to make music as well, right?
Oh yeah, it's like it's gotten to an obsession point, and I don't really put any. I put some out, but I got like 35 songs in the vault right now.
For real.
That I'll probably do like a rush and just drop one once a week for like a year.
Yeah.
Just to get it out there, but like I also like want to like monitor my bandwidth, because it takes, not only does it take a lot of energy, but it takes a lot of emotional energy, because I'm not making songs about some bullshit. Like I'm getting like fucking
no ghostwriters,
no writing in general. Like it just comes off
real.
the dome. Like I just build it line by line by line. So yeah, it's a really unique process, but like but yeah, it's just all in the vault. Like me and my friends listen to it all the time, so like eventually I'll get there.
That's super dope, man.
But it sounds like you're a really well-traveled person. I feel like, how many countries have you been to?
Probably about not many, actually. Not many of the. I'll give you the best countries that I've been to. So Indonesia, a very amazing place to be. A kind of like an off the cuff one I'll give you here is Iceland. If you get the chance to go to Iceland, Iceland is sick.
I've heard great things.
It's sick.
In the summer time or the winter?
No, winter time. Granted, it's cold. It's freezing cold. But I went to Reykjavik. I think that's how you say it, Reykjavik. And you can just do like excursions, like to so many different places. Like some of the waterfalls are like so picturesque. They're insane. Like it's amazing. And obviously the Blue Lagoon as well. You know, the place whereby you can. It's like minus something outside, but the water itself is like 20 degrees or something like that, so it's super warm. And the way you get outside is you go inside, and there's like this small little open door that you go out into. So you're in the water and you inside, and then you go outdoors. It's like crazy. And all of the walls around the Blue Lagoon have it's like some sort of clay, something like some magical clay. So you get it and you put it on your face and all that kind of shit.
Is it like a sulfur pool?
I think so.
Does it smell horrible?
No, it don't smell that. But I mean, this is a few years ago, so I can't remember what it was smell like or it smelled like.
I must be thinking of something else.
Yeah, but that's a really nice place, and obviously we spoke. LA is an amazing place, and then all of the European countries: Venice, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Paris, Berlin. I've been to Sweden once. That was with like work, but dead place.
I like how you go. I haven't been to too many countries, but I'll give you the top 8 that I've been to. Like I feel like most people have been to like maybe 2. I bet the average in like the world's like 2.
In fact, South Africa was amazing. I know we spoke about that, and South Africa is amazing. If anyone hasn't been to South Africa, definitely go. A lot of people get put off by South Africa because they think murder capital and I'm going to get robbed, etc., etc. But honestly, it's an amazing place, and when you're actually in like the city. It's not bad, you just got to be wary about yourself and not like go out at 11 p.m. wearing your Rolex or whatever it may be, because you're asking for trouble. But that's an amazing place to go.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to check that out. Hopefully I will this winter, which would be their summer.
Their summer, because they do things backwards.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I was going to tell you this story earlier, but I went away for the podcast. You know that mountain you told me where it's like 3 hours to climb?
Table Mountain, right?
Table Mountain. So one of my buddies went out there with a bust-down Rolex, and he got to the top, and they're like watching the sun and everything. They're like amazing. Or maybe it was that second one. But they said when they got to the top, there were some people up there, and it was just them by the end of it. Yeah. And they ended up robbing them for the Rolex. Yeah. But then they all had to hike down together. And like after he stole it, so it was like he said it was like the most awkward hike you could possibly imagine for like a couple hours. Yeah, no one was saying a word, and the guy was like just wearing his watch.
That's so crazy. But that is what it's like. It's like Table Mountain. Like Table Mountain, it takes like 3 hours, and there's different routes that you can do to hike up it. So you can go like up it, which is kind of like the hardest route, or there's like where you can kind of like go all the way around it kind of thing. And then Lion's Head, which is like opposite. It's not as high, but it's like opposite, and it's lower, but you can see everything else, like all the mountains and the sea view and the city and all those kind of things. A lot of people hike up that at in the evening time, watch the sunset, and then obviously they can see everything. But like you say, you literally, if it goes down, you're literally hiking in pitch black. Yeah. So you have to. Well, I didn't have a headlight on, but just stuck my phone like on my sweatband because I had my bandana on because it's super hot, and just had that there, and you just look walking down. But yeah, I'll be honest, like I picked up a stick because I was like, yo, there's no, I don't want to get robbed because like it's pitch black, right? And there's bushes everywhere, and you're in the middle of like South Africa, so it's like, I ain't finna get robbed out here.
Yeah, I could totally picture you right now just walking around with a stick, like looking around like this.
Yeah, I was like, yo.
I never thought about that till now. It's like the iPhone kind of killed the flashlight. I never really thought about that. Like I remember we used to have flashlights like under our beds in case like the lights went out or anything. But now it's just like everybody has a flashlight in their pocket. In school, did they tell you what they told us in America, where people were like, we used to say all the time, like, why do we have to learn math when we can just do it on our calculator? And our teacher would always say the classic line, it's not like you're gonna be walking around life with a calculator in your pocket. Did they ever say that to you in school?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I think we had the same thing, but they probably worded it a little bit different.
Funny, right?
Yeah.
Now everyone's walking with a calculator in their pocket.
Dude, like the phone, it's crazy how technology has evolved. And I think it's only just going to get like worse and worse. Anything that you can kind of think of. Like the TV now is basically the phone because all of the attention now is on the phone. So commercials, how many commercials have you actually watched and been like, I remember that, or that's vivid, or, let me check that out.
Only the Coinbase Super Bowl commercial. That was brilliant. The QR code that was just like bouncing. Did you see that?
I don't watch NFL, bro.
Oh, okay. So they rented, it was like $5 million for 30 seconds. Yeah. And what Coinbase did is they had a QR code, but it went like this, like across the screen, kind of like one of those old DVD things.
Yeah.
But it was like changing colors.
Okay.
And there was nothing else on the screen. It was just the QR code.
Yeah.
So when you took a photo of the QR code, it opened up download Coinbase for $10 of free crypto right now. And I think they got like 7 million downloads within like the first hour.
That's insane.
It was known as like the most brilliant ad of all last year. But other than that, no, yeah, the commercials I don't pay attention to.
It's like billboards as well. Like I mean, we've been down in London and there's loads of billboards, but how many people actually, like, it's interesting actually because like companies are still paying for them, and most of these companies like Coca-Cola, all these big companies, they pay for exposure anyway. So they're not directly caring about return on investment in terms of the way most dropshippers care about and profiting on that first sale and, you know, trying to make those that transaction. But it's crazy how much money is still being spent on billboards in a traditional sense, when most of the attention, especially with Gen Z people, is still primarily on phone. It's on Snapchat, it's on TikTok and all those kind of things. And I think, you know, in the next 10 to 20 years, will there still be billboards? You know, will there still be commercials? Or, you know, it's crazy to think what the advertising space will be away from social media.
I feel like the billboards will still be there, but it just gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Because, like, I think Coca-Cola doing that is just pure brand recognition. Like, I've always wondered that myself. It's just like, you'll see the most odd commercial, like something like Coca-Cola is still taking out full page ads in like magazines, you know, and I think they continue. Well, also it's because I know for a fact they have a certain amount of money they got to spend on the budget each year. So I guess the diversification of like, it's like, yes, our generation is mainly on our phones, but I think that billboard stuff is probably tailored to like 60 plus, you know, because like my grandma doesn't have an iPhone at all or anything like that. So I think like, you're right, in like 20 years when that generation starts to die off and like everyone's absorbed in these phones, like I wonder if in like 100 years, if the metaverse does take off, if this same conversation will be happening and people will be like, you'll see these big companies are still like advertising on Facebook and Instagram when like everyone's in the metaverse. It doesn't make sense. Kind of like how we're saying, you know, why are they advertising on billboards when everyone's on their phone? Metaverse. So I wonder if it develops into that.
Yeah, interesting conversation. And I'm still skeptical of the metaverse. I think it's there, but we're not there anytime soon.
I agree.
I think we're, I don't know, 20, 30 years away from everyone just being plugged in. Because recently I actually went to a like a VR gameplay. Have you ever done like a VR gaming experience?
Yeah.
Like my friend had the Oculus. Is it called the Oculus? The Facebook?
Oh, the Oculus.
One? Yeah, Oculus. Yeah. So he had one of those, but I actually went to an actual place where you can do like different games. Like there was a zombie game, and it feels like the fucking zombies right next to you.
Do you have like that suit on where you can feel the vibrations too?
No, they didn't have that one, but it goes all the way around your head, and you've got the ability to move as much as you kind of want, if that makes sense. You've got two on your hand.
Right.
You can shoot and, you know, do all this shit, and if you start punching, then you knock the zombie's head off and all that kind of stuff. And then
but really, you're knocking the worker's head off.
Yeah, really, yeah. And then there was a racing game as well, which, again, you use that, but it feels like when you're turning, because he put us in race cars, and it feels like it was actually in the car. It was insane. And like, I wonder if, I know we've been talking about GTA and stuff like that, but when it gets to that point, like, what are people going to do? Because like most people, especially people who don't aspire to have real life goals, it's much easier to attain what they want in the fake world than what they can achieve in the real world. So most people are just going to divert to leveling up their character in GTA, you know, because it's much easier to do rather than in the real life. So it's an interesting conversation to have, and you know, who knows what will happen when the metaverse, you know.
What I could see taking the metaverse off is if, say, China attacks Taiwan and then China duels up with Russia and we have another World War III. I think that's going to send a lot of people into the metaverse because they're going to want to escape that crazy reality where like they're watching the news, how many people are dying, or maybe their family members are getting shipped off, maybe like their, you know, brothers or like moms and dads. Like that, I could see a big push into a reality beyond ours, because if this reality becomes super difficult, it's not going to be like World War II where people rally and like, you know, like in World War II, all the women went to the workplace and like fought. I think a lot of people are going to want to run from those feelings, because I think we're living in like a very fragile like time where like people are very like sensitive to every minor thing, and like it's all about protecting and including and all that, when like real life is like very difficult. And I think it's been a long time since we've been reminded of that.
Yeah. And I think there's this analogy that says tough times build tough men build easy times build weak men. I think it's something along those lines. I think we're in that stage of there's weak times at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's easy. I think there's easy times. Yeah, that's it. I think there's easy times and what's going on in the world, because everything's just like has to be so politically correct now. Like no one can really like speak their mind without getting called out of anything, or you know, no one can really have individualism. You know, everything. It's like TV shows. Like back in the day, TV shows. Some of the stuff that used to be on the TV shows now could never run. Like could never run.
Even 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like you probably didn't have the in America, but maybe you know about Little Britain.
No,
Little Britain. If you're from the UK and you're watching this, you'll know what Little Britain is. But essentially, there was this guy who kind of like pretended to be disabled. And he was in a wheelchair and he just used to say like random stuff, and he had a carer as well. And like that stuff could never happen now. And there used to be another show, I don't know if you know the guy, Keith Lemon either, comedian guy. But again, he's like a UK. Most people in the States might not know who he is, but if you Google Keith Lemon, there used to be a show called Bowl Selector as well. And this dude used to put on a mask, right? And he used to pretend to be all sorts of different people, like politicians, etc., and stuff like that. And one of the characters was Trish, I think her name was, who was a daytime talk show, a bit like Oprah Winfrey, right? Not as big, of course, but this black woman. And the mask used to be this black woman with big lips, and he used to talk like Jamaican, like, and like that could never, ever, ever run in today's society. But back then, it was like most people thought it was funny. You know, like it's funny, like banter, etc., etc. Whereas now you can't really do those kind of things. Yeah, I think now it's just like we're just going down a route where no one can really say anything at all. It's just, you know, everyone's fragile.
Yeah, I even heard is it Brisbane? Is that a town near here?
Brisbane, that's Australia, bro.
Oh, I'm thinking. No, yeah, you're right. I'm thinking of, because Andrew, I know. Wherever Andrew Tate moved to when he was like a kid, there was this one guy who got the word banter banned from all schools because apparently it's like either racist or misogynistic or something like that. I don't know if you heard about that. No, like I don't know what the source of banter is at all, but apparently like it's an issue. But again, that's politically correct right there, and it's just like it's just weird because it's like. It kind of stops people from even trying to understand each other, and it just seems like censorship. And when I watch Black Mirror, like I was watching Black Mirror last night, and that show was made actually in London, I found out, but like 6 years ago, and like to watch it now, I'm like, whoa, they predicted like so much, and there's a lot of things that haven't come true that I could see come true. Did you ever watch Black Mirror?
No.
Oh man, you got to check it out.
No. But I think actually that, you know, all of this, and this is kind of going down the route of we're in the Matrix, Andrew Tate-esque type talk.
Right.
But I think that all of this not being able to say stuff and everyone is being divided, like there's non-binary now, there's, you know, do we have 3 sets of toilets and, you know, white people, black people, this party, X party, this religion, X religion, you know, I generally think that it's all just a way, and people are pushing these kind of like agendas from the top down, and allowing this kind of stuff to just happen and play out. Because at the end of the day, if everyone is against each other and arguing against each other, you know, I've got the best religion, your religion is wrong, or, you know, I'm allowed to be whatever I want to be, etc. You know, black people, Black Lives Matter, and you know, against white people, posing all of these things is just a way to divide people. And it's just easier to conquer. You know, it diverts the attention away from looking up and being like, yeah, hold on.
Why is 60% of my money going to this government?
Exactly, right? Like fractional reserve banking and all these kind of things, like the actual systems itself. And like, again, I think the school system is fundamentally broken. Everything that I learned in school, back to the calculator thing, how many times have you used what you learned in school? They ram down, oh, you're going to need algebra. You know, when has anyone used algebra in real life situations?
Well, in their defense, I think the whole ideology of, because like if you want to be a lawyer, you have to take intensive math classes. And I think what that's teaching you is it's testing and teaching you problem solving abilities. So it's not specifically like about, when it comes to that type of math, I don't think it's especially like geometry. It's more about problem solving rather than like specifically like doing the problems. But what makes me mad about that is like that was never the answer when we asked our teachers. It was always, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket. Yeah. So like if they would have said that to us more often, I would have been like, oh, okay, that makes more sense, because like, you know, as a lawyer or a doctor, you're going to have to think quick and solve these problems. And math is a great representation. And also math is, besides coding, think math is like the only universal language in the world, you know? So I think that makes more sense. But yeah, I think it's just that communication barrier. And I think the teachers didn't even realize that's that reason that they're teaching math. They're just following the curriculum, you know?
That's the thing. They literally just follow what's been given to them. And like a lot of the business teachers that I had never really, I don't think any of them had a successful business, like actually ran an actual business. And that's the thing. We have a lot of people teaching stuff which they're qualified to do in the sense of, you know, getting grades, etc. But it comes down to like real life experiences that is the best teacher of anything. Like going through a mortgage. I didn't know anything about getting a mortgage. I didn't know anything about how to even purchase a house. What is, you know, surveying? What do financial advisors do? How do you even get them? Like how does it work?
Right.
Like you're not told any of that at all. Same with credit cards. You're not taught how to utilize credit cards. At least in the business classes that I had anyway, you weren't really taught how to leverage good credit. You know, there's good credit, bad credit, etc. and those kind of things. Even like in business classes, how to start up a limited company, going to company's house, registering X, Y, and Z, being a shareholder. Some of that stuff was in there. It was just out of books, but it was never really, you never really prepared for what's to come in the real world from school.
Yeah.
You know, you learn your social skills, how to make friends, you know, how to hit deadlines. But in terms of the real life key skills that you need, yeah, I think they're really missing from the school curriculum.
Yeah, everywhere. And it just seems to be that is what whoever they are, they want, you know? It's like you go to school to become a slave either to the banks, a slave either to the workforce, a slave either to the companies, a slave to debt. That's the big one. Because if they taught you financial literacy, a lot of people wouldn't be in debt.
Exactly.
And that's what they want. So, like, who's really controlling it? The banks. Usually it's the banks controlling it. Like, I feel like the financial institutions have their hand deeply in the government, and the government decides the curriculum. And if they don't want it in there, it's not going to be in there, and just trickles down like that.
It's all run by corporations, because if you have a look, it's like the people who are elected are funded. And where are they funded? Where does that money come from? The corporations, right? So the corporations are paying for the politicians to be, for the campaigners, essentially. So it's like, I can't remember where I was listening to this, but it's like, you know, if you run a business and you have an employee, you want an employee who's going to, you know, be a yes person, essentially. You don't want someone who's going to continually keep saying, no, we don't want to do it that way, or don't do it this way, or what happens if you do it this way, X, Y, Z, etc., etc. If you're running a business, right? And it's the same kind of thing. So, you know, if they have certain set agendas that they want, they're not going to put in people who are just going to be challenging them on every single time.
Right.
It's influence, it's power. So rather than trying to get someone who's trying to change things, why not just getting a yes man who's going to push through everything that we want to get pushed through? Because at the end of the day, it's all power and influence.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's that's just how it is, and you are pretty much prepped to be. Because even in university, I went to university and I got a degree in business and management, and even that was like prepping you to be a middle manager in a large corporation. That was pretty much it. So yeah, I think the school system's broken, and I think one of the bad things that needs to be changed as well is that people are in school systems as well, is that we are graded by one rule. You know what I mean by that is that if you're a monkey and you are graded on how well you are to swim,
right,
you're not going to be as good as the fish, right?
Right.
And everyone has a genius inside them, and I think the school system doesn't bring out enough of people's inner geniuses. They're just marked by one thing. Do you get an A? Yes. Okay, cool. You're in a top category. Did you get a C? Okay, you're in this category. You know, and then people think they're stupid because they didn't get that so-called quote unquote A. So yeah, I think there's big reform, and that's something that I want to try and change, you know, when there's multiple millions.
I wonder if like it would even be possible with how much power you'd have to go up against in order to do that, because it's like I really would like to know the back end of all this, like to see, like to go up the ladder and see like who is making this, like why are they making this in the curriculum? Okay, who's making that? Okay, who's influencing that person to make that, and all of that. And I didn't know you went to college. Like, were you drop shipping when you were in college? How old are you, by the way?
No, 28. So
Okay.
I didn't drop ship in. That was after. So like growing up, I either wanted to be a footballer or a business owner. Like one of the two. And I think everyone probably watching this podcast has done the cliche Google search of how to make money online.
Yeah.
Right, or how to become a millionaire online, or something like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I came across. I started playing football from many moons when I was a young kid. I got to a decent level, but when I got to university, it kind of just all went downhill because like freshers, and then you start drinking and you start going out and partying with boys and stuff like that. So it kind of like went down the hill. So that's why I went to university to do business, because if it weren't that, it was open up a business.
Yeah.
And then dropshipping came after that. So I started to do some like 9-to-5 jobs, cleaning toilets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, clean toilets. It was only for 2 days, granted. Stacking car doors.
Wait, after 2 days, like, did you get the job, and then after 2 days you said, hell no?
It was like contract work, so part contract work. So in university you get those, like everyone gets that break.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was doing like contract work. Stacking car doors, toilets. But like sometimes people are scared to do those jobs, but I think what it is sometimes, or they'll turn their nose up at like, I don't want to, clean. I didn't want to clean toilets, you know? But it was a case of like, where's your mind? And my mind wasn't there cleaning toilets. It was 5 years ahead.
Oh.
Driving a Lamborghini, doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I've already made it, but I'm listening to my music, whatever it was at that time, thinking I'll do it. I don't really care. I didn't enjoy it, but it gets by and made me, not a lot of money. But granted, after 2 days, just moved on to car stacking doors.
What do you mean by stacking doors?
So basically what happened was the company itself used to, I can't remember where the car doors would come from, but outside we were working, so I remember it was a super hot day and I used to work with this Polish guy, and we had to stack car doors into like these like frames or something along those lines.
Like, was this like an assembly line or what?
No, not like an assembly line. I can't remember. It was like a warehouse, but I can't remember what the warehouse used to actually do. But it was like some sort of warehouse manufacturing kind of place. But these car doors, I don't know if they were like broken car, like breakered car doors, whereby the car had been scrapped, but they'd salvaged those doors. I can't remember exactly what the doors were, but it was just car doors, and we were just picking them up, just load them onto this, load them. This forklift would take them, drip them away, put this. It's a very repetitive work, and I've done warehouse work previously before. It's not enjoyable, but sometimes you got to do those things to get to where you want to get to. You got to go through it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And so when you graduated, is that when you made the cliche Google search?
No, so I was doing them previously before, right? Because I was always wanting to make money online, and I've done like various different things to make money online. And I'll tell you one of the things, I've never told this story anywhere else, so this is like a simplified exclusive.
Hell yeah.
So we'll get into that in a minute. But I used to do eBay. So the first ever money that I made online was through eBay. And I think it's probably the easiest way to make money online is just pick up something that you don't want to buy, that you want to sell, stick it on eBay.
Yeah.
Make money. And when you get that transaction, it's like, oh shit, I made some money, even though you haven't sourced anything like that. So that was the first thing that I done, was selling things on eBay. And then what I'd done was I realized that remember when loads of people were wearing snapbacks?
Yeah.
Snapback hats were popping. Chris Brown was popping.
Oh, yeah.
Snapbacks were the one.
With the stickers on it.
Yeah, with the stickers on. That was the way forward with the snapbacks. So and in the UK, you couldn't get snapbacks anywhere at that time. So what I done was I went on eBay, and again, there weren't that many listings on the UK for snapbacks. So what I done is I went on to the ebay.com, which is the US version, and found some guy who was selling snapbacks on eBay. Contacted him through there. I was like, dude, I need these Mitchell & Ness ones, because Mitchell & Ness ones were the ones that everyone wanted,
Okay.
right? So got in contact with him. He was like, yeah, I can sell you them, etc., etc. And I think I bought about 20 or 30 caps, and I started a little Facebook page called Oh Snap. And Oh Snap was the page. And back then, like, the reach on Facebook, like, organically, was very easy to get,
Yeah.
Whereas now you post anything, you get 2 likes, even if you got 1,000 people on there, right? So I started getting my friends to like it, etc. And I was popping, like, I was selling these Mitchell & Ness caps, probably making about £5 to £8 per cap that I was selling. And then what happened with that business is, it wasn't even a business, it was just like a hustle,
Yeah.
like just a hustle out. And then there used to be this company in town, in my city center, that used to sell Mitchell & Ness hats. I remember them messaging the page saying, you're not allowed to do this. You know, you're only allowed to sell them. You're only allowed to sell Mitchell & Ness if you're a licensed reseller. I'm like, oh shit. You know, they were like, you know, you can't do this. Stop. We'll get in contact with Mitchell & Ness and say X, Y, and Z. And then I think they called me in for I think they wanted to just like question me or whatever it may be. So I went in there, had a chat with the owner. He was like, you know, I like what you're doing, etc., but you can't do it. You have to be a licensed, whatever. Thinking, I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool. You know, so I stopped selling. But looking back now, I was just a reseller. Like I want a license plate, so I could still do it. But looking back now, I got finessed, if that makes sense.
Oh, they just
kind of like finessed me because I want a store. You see, I was just reselling. It's like buying and selling Nikes. You can buy any Nike, and you can stand on the corner of Sloane Square and sell Nikes, right? You don't have to be a store or have a license to do that because you're buying it from someone who may have the license. You're just reselling it.
Interesting.
But I got finessed out of that one.
Damn.
Finesse, but it is what it is, man. So that was kind of like my first venture that I had. And then after that, I used to sell shisha pens.
Oh yeah.
On
vape pens.
Yeah, vape pens on eBay, but that didn't last long because I think I lasted like 2 days.
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
I got them from China. Fuck knows what was in those pens, bro. Like, fuck knows what was in those pens anyway. But I got those, and I remember selling like I think it was like 5 in the first day. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be rich. I'm popping. Woke up next day, listing delisted because you can't sell them on eBay. It's against the terms and policies. So yeah, that didn't go well. That was down the drain. And then came along dropshipping, you know. And I found out about dropshipping through. I don't know if you've ever heard of the website Black Hat Forum.
No.
Black Hat Forum. So Black Hat Forum is a forum which has like, it's in the name, Black Hat Ways How to Make Money. Right? Anyone who's watching this don't know what black hat is. There's like black hat, grey hat, white hat. White hat's like the clean way to make money.
Right.
Grey hat's kind of like, you treading the line, and then black hat's kind of like doing some shady, dirty shit.
Silk Road.
Yeah, type vibes. So came across. I used to go on that forum, and I'll tell you about the story, about the one story that I'd done before I go into like dropshipping, but. Basically, one of the ways to make money online was like buying and selling domains. And I know you've done that before, right? Have you bought some domains? You've got domains, right?
I bought some domains. I've never sold them though. Like I have like 100 something domains. I've never listed them, but I got some premium ones.
You got some good ones.
Yeah.
What's your best one?
The alieninvasion.com.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Especially if it happens.
Yeah. That one will pop in. That will be popping. Get some AdSense on there, and everyone like.
Yeah, sell some merch.
Yeah.
Luca gave me that idea because he was making the joke when we were in Colorado. He was like, can you imagine if like aliens invaded and you own something like alieninvasion.com, and if you had merch, can you imagine how popping that store would be if we won? And then like I looked it up on Google and I bought it right while he was talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I just bought that domain.
That's the thing about Luca, and shout out Luca, is he just like thinks like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like you can't teach that. That's why that's why he's done so many amazing things. But one of the ways, anyway, go back to the story, is one of the ways how to make money online was using porn sites.
Oh.
So what you would do, right? Again, I've never told anyone this. I didn't even make. I think I made like $20. This was how it worked. So basically, what you would do is you would go to an affiliate site, but you'd have to find like a niche, right? So like whether it's be like MILFs or like BBW or something like that, right? Let's hope these don't get taken down. But basically, you would do that, and then what they would do is they would pay you per sign up, right? So you get like $3, $2 for someone who to sign up with, right?
Wait, sign up for what?
Sign up for the dating website to date MILFs.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Or to date BBWs.
Gotcha.
Or to date whatever category you'd sign up with.
Yeah.
They would make their money off the subscription when the people will actually sign up, and they sign up and obviously pay whatever it may be. Full of fake profiles anyway, I think.
Right.
But you'd get paid for someone to sign up. So what you would do is you'd go onto like Pornhub, and you would download whatever category you were in, MILF, BBW, whatever it may be, as many videos as you could. And then what you would do is you would put a watermark. So you have to buy a domain, or you would get like a free domain. I used a free domain. And forward that free domain to your, it would have your affiliate link in it, but you'd have your affiliate link, redirected to, so your URL would be redirected to your affiliate link if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. So what you would do is you would put your URL on all of these porn videos, and you'd re-upload the porn videos back on Pornhub, and people would watch it, and it would be like you'd have the the watermark at the bottom, and then see more at whatever your thing was, right? And because you're obviously on a dating niche and you're uploading porn videos and stuff like that, that's how the whole scheme would work. But like I say, it wasn't successful. So if you're watching this, don't try and do it. I'm sure there's some guys out there making multiple millions doing it.
I'm sure there's guys out there doing it, whether they're making money or not on it.
Yeah, but yeah, that was one of the ways. And again, I think I completely forgot about it. And I think one day I just logged in. And I was like, oh, $20. I couldn't withdraw it because the threshold was like $50.
Oh my god!
After all that work,
I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah, that was insane, man. But that was one of the ways I tried to make money online.
Right, and then so that's what developed, and then from there is when you went into drop shipping right there.
Yeah, so then on the same website, there was a thread about how a guy made, I think it was $10,000 selling free products, because back then everyone was doing free plus shipping.
Free plus shipping,
that was like the popping way to make money.
Big time.
So they would sell something for $9, because back then costs were so cheap with Facebook ads that they could afford to do that. Now you can't really get away with doing that at all. So I would click on the thread, and I read the thread from top to bottom. I'm like, dude, we got the house. So he's talking about Shopify, he's talking about AliExpress, and he's talking about Facebook ads. These three things. So I'm like, fuck it. Let me just try this thing. So back then, Facebook groups were like where you could get all the quote unquote alpha from. That's where everyone was from. Whereas now it's like Twitter and Discords and those kind of places. So I joined all these Facebook groups, and I just thought, you know what, let me just try it and give it a go. Try the first store. The first ever products that I tried to sell was nail products. So like females, they have like nail art. They can do like crazy nail art on the stuff. So I started up a nail art store. It was like all pink and shit. I thought, yo, this is gonna be my niche. I'm gonna pop in. I think I ended up blowing through like $800 or so just to make one sale. I didn't make one sale. So I made one sale, but like, it was
like what, $20?
Yeah. Yeah, so back then it was you would sell everything for like, no, I don't even think it was $20. It was like $9. Because you think you want to sell something cheap because you just want that sale,
right?
So I just sold, I think it was like $15. It was no more than $15, I don't think, and got my first sale. I remember sitting there because back then you have your notifications on. It's like, ching.
Yeah,
when you hear that noise, it's like euphoria. The first one, I look at it and it's like Susan from Delaware has ordered.
Right, it works.
It's like, yo, oh my God. I'm dancing around a room. Yeah, I'm already $800 in the hole.
Right.
Fuck all that shit. I've just made $12 kind of vibe. And then that was kind of like the spur from going into everything else, It's kind of like kickstarted, because at that point, it was like, okay, like you say, the system works. Facebook ads work. I can get someone to purchase this product anywhere in the world. All I need to do now, because everyone else was posting like $1,000 days, $10,000 days, all I then had to do was just figure out how to get better, because it works.
Yeah.
I just need to get better and understand what they're doing. And that was kind of like the kickstart for the dropshipping journey. So
it just developed from there. And like, what do you remember? Like, what your first successful product was? The
first successful products that I used to have were pet products. Pet products, I made a killing off pet products.
Specific pets, or just like pets in general?
Dogs, cats, horses. They were the ones.
Were they all grouped into one website?
So yeah. So so after the nail website, I scrapped that, and everyone was talking about these general sites. I was talking about these general stores, and I'm like, what the fuck is a general store? Because they were like general stores, and they just sell everything and everything. They just give you that flexibility. So I'm like, all right, cool, fuck it. Let me just open up a general store. It gives me some flexibility. And the first products that I used to sell were like rings. So they were kind of like, well, not so much like these ones, but let's take, for example, this one here. There would be like, this is a bird, but there would be like a dog face on it, or a cute cat or something along those lines. And I was just replicating what was working. So the first was like cats. And I thought, okay, if cat jewelry works, let me just go on AliExpress and just find a different version of a cute cat ring. And then it was like, okay, if cat rings work, let me have a look at dog rings. And I'd find dog rings, and then I'd sell those, and they'd pop. And I'd be like, okay, cool. Let me think about horses, right? So I'd sell horse rings and horse jewelry and horse trinkets and those kind of things. they were like the first niche that like really started to pop for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
What
feel
about
like-
yourself?
My first one was that. Well, the first thing I ever tried was so classic. It was your classic. I think it was watches. Like, oh, I'm gonna make a watch store and just have a bunch of watches, and sell them all for X amount of money. And then I made the classic bikini store. I'm gonna make a killing on these bikinis, and I was sending it to the girl I was seeing at the time. She was like, "Yeah, the website looks good. I'd buy from there." I'm like, "Yes, yes." If she'll buy from here, anyone would. Obviously, neither of those work. So once I narrowed it down to one product drop shipping and did the gravity case, that's when things went bonkers.
Because I remember, I think you were like the first person to do the one product-ish kind of thing. Because before then it was like
General
very much
stores or
general
niche.
stores
And then
a niche.
I was telling the story earlier, but I was in a creek, and that thought came to my head, dude, and it like warmed up my head as if it was like on fire. Like it felt like it wasn't even my thought. It was one product drop shipping.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, I remembered that. I was like, yeah, that was kind of weird. And so I Googled it, and there was not any results for one product drop shipping, 0 on YouTube. And I'm like, whoa, like this could be my in, and it ended up being in. So I always think back to that, how weird it was that I remember so specifically how strange that thought was, and how I still get goosebumps thinking about it now. Cause like I don't even know how to describe it. I guess it's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like, remember, like if you ever get super mad at something, it feels like your head's on fire. It was kind of like that, but in like a pleasureful kind of way. I guess kind of like, I've never done heroin, but maybe what like heroin feels like, when like it just rushes to your head. So
That's crazy. That's insane. Because like before that, it was like general niche, and then this one product term started popping off, and it was like one product. Like, why would you sell one product? It was like one product. And then, like, literally everyone was just like, one product, dropshipping, one product, one product. And it, like you say, it just kind of like took off.
Yeah. Well, I read Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets. And in the book, he said that websites were built to show off and funnels were built to convert. And he was talking about info products and usually stuff like that, but he didn't really talk about e-commerce products in the book. So I'm like, I wonder if that can be applied to e-commerce. Let me see if it works.
Yeah.
And it ended up working. But I gave up on the store initially, and luckily that same thought that told me to do it, like while I was driving Uber in LA, that same thought kept pounding my head, dude. Like I remember driving Uber, and in my head it kept saying like, there's something to the one product format. There's something to that one product format. And so I went back and I launched the same exact store, and it took off after that. So it's crazy what changed my life I gave up on. And the only reason my life changed is because I went back to it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, because like now, again, my first store failed. It bombs, bro.
Yeah.
Like $800 in the hole. But a lot of people look at that and they think, I put all this effort into this, and it didn't work. Let me just call it quits at that point.
Yeah.
And again, if it's weird, because if we stopped then, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Not even close.
It's crazy how the world works in terms of like, you have so many decisions to make, and every single decision will take you down a different life course when you think of things that way. And again, if we stopped at that point, and there's been plenty of times, I'll be honest with you, there's plenty of times where I'm just thinking to myself, because the journey of entrepreneurship is never linear. Yeah. It's always up, it's down, and then you're up a little bit more, and then you're completely down here, and then you're up, and and there's been times where, you get like PayPal holds or, Facebook bans or whatever it may be. And you just think to yourself, like, why am I putting in all this effort into all this? Like, is it like you then like question yourself, is like, is it all worth it? Is what I'm doing actually worth it? And sometimes you question your ability as well. Am I actually good enough to be where I want to be? And you have to keep on, reasserting, it's not probably the right word I'm looking for, but you basically have to reaffirm, and that's the word I'm looking for, reaffirm to yourself that you can do it. I think too many people give up way too early when they're just on the cusp of having breakthrough.
Well, I don't know if you've ever done this, but like my first thing I went after was social media marketing agencies. And I literally, like, I would hit up a few people. I went into like a couple like in-person meetings, and like either they'd like not respond afterwards. And when that would happen, my attention went from how can I like accomplish this? It kind of went from subconsciously, well, I'll say consciously first. Consciously, it went for, does this actually work? But subconsciously, what I was doing is let me look for a reason for me to quit. And so in Ty Lopez's group, because that's where I started in the social media marketing course, I would like look at all the comments and like I would like look for the ones that be like questioning if like all of these users posting results were real or not, and I'd be like, oh, maybe they're not real. Maybe this is all just like a whole conspiracy to get you like in this group, and then he has these like fake testimonials. But it was just like me looking for a reason to quit.
Yeah, it's like confirmation bias. It's like with stocks. You know, sometimes like I've been this way, or even in crypto, you have this confirmation bias that when you buy something, you know, you then subconsciously start to look for confirmation that you were right.
Yeah.
You know, and it can very much limit and block out, you know, maybe some important information that you're not considering or not at least questioning, because you're always looking for that confirmation of, you know, of he's bought it, or if he's saying X about it, then it must be true. Or if, you know, these people are still holding it, then I'll still hold it, you know. And that's one thing that's really bad. And also a big thing that can kill people is comparing yourself to other people. You know, I say this, like, comparison kills. If you are comparing yourself to other people, it's the worst thing you can do. And we're all guilty of doing it. You know, I've done it previously before, especially, you know, like YouTube views, or with how much you're making, etc., etc. Oh, you know, you're doing 10K. Yeah, but he's doing 30K per day. Or if, you know, he's getting 10,000 views in the first hour. You know, why am I not getting X, Y, and Z? But honestly, like, it's the worst thing you can ever do is comparing yourself to other people, because everyone's on their own little journey, and you don't really know where they're at in their journey, how much skills they have, how much experience they have, and you're just comparing them on a surface level. And one thing that's really bad is social media just kind of like exacerbated this whole like get rich quick thing, because like, face it, like if me and you make a video, right, we know that the video that says how to make 1 million in 30 days is going to get way more views than how I made, you know, 1 million in 2 years or something along those lines. So we have to be on the borderline of clickbait, right? Exactly. But it still has to be entertaining. But and we have to do that in order to get views, but because that's what people want to consume. Right. You know? But the bad thing about that is that 1 million or whatever it may be in those 30 days, it didn't take 30 days, because anyone else doing that wouldn't be able to do that. It's taken us, you know, 3 years or 4 years, and how many failed products that we've had, etc., to achieve that. Right. But people look at that and think, oh, okay, he's done that in this, I can maybe do this, but they don't manage their expectations.
Well, it's funny how you're saying like the worst thing you do is compare yourself to other people. And I think it's funny how when anyone compares themselves to other people, it's always the people above them. They don't really compare themselves to the people below them. And that's financially, like, just for everyone to be clear, I think the worst mentality I think ever that a human could have is thinking that you're better than another because you have more money than them. Like, that is the worst scale of better than another, because I don't think anyone is better than another. I think we're all on an equal playing field. But then I've had this conversation before where it's like, but at what point are you better than another? Like, like, we're better. Would you say we're better than some fucking child molesters? You know, like, are we better than some murderers? It's hard, because like I guess in a way we are. But then like when I think about like say the Bible and like Jesus, like in the Bible, Jesus hung with the murderers. He hung with the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the most hated people. And so I wonder if there is any case where one is better than another, because there are some horrible people who have done some horrible crimes. But as a human, I don't know. I've always wondered about that question. And then where if the answer is yes, that you can be better than another, where is the line? That line can be very blurry, but I know for damn sure that it's not scaled by money. Yeah,
definitely. And also it's like in most of the religious books, it's like you can be the worst human on this planet, but if you repent and genuinely repent, you know, then you are forgiven, you know, and you are then blessed with, you know, a clean slate, or so to be. And, you know, you can go on about doing good deeds and stuff like that. So it's an interesting question on, you know, whether or not we can be better. But we live in an era of now social media, where it's like everyone just thinks they're better than everyone.
Right.
You know, everyone's just flashing money. Everyone's,
At least that's what they want you to think.
yeah. If you're not, the thing is about social media is it, like I said before when we had this conversation, like it can either make you or break you. What it's done for our lives is it's transformed our lives, you know, in a good positive way, because we were able to, you know, help people. You know,
Right.
Other people may look at social media as a toxic place because they are, again, making those comparisons with the people. And the bad thing about social media is people are you only see the highlights of people's,
Right.
you know, social media. It's always the good stuff. And 95% of their life could be fucking shit.
Iceberg.
You know, yeah, they could be going through some real life shit. What's that Drake lyric where he goes, I know some girl who takes pictures and only posts them.
Yeah, whose whole goal was to visit Rome, and then she finally got to Rome and
Yeah.
only posted pictures for people at home.
Yeah.
Because all that mattered was impressing everyone that she known.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like you said, like, we use it for good. But then you see people like Hunter Moore. Did you watch that documentary on Netflix, The Most Hated Man on the Internet?
I did.
Yeah.
Recently I did, yeah.
That is like, can you believe there's people out there like that? That
That's
would like
insane.
use the power of this phone and like that is like some of the most harmful things you could possibly do on a large scale. It's crazy.
Yeah. Some people don't have no, like, but the thing is, there's always going to be bad people like that who are always going to roam the earth. Like, you just look at how many mass murderers there have been, like, and they do the most indespicable stuff that you just can't even fathom doing yourself. But some people literally just have no remorse. Like there's no remorse whatsoever. They will walk up with a gun, shoot you in your head, and there's no remorse whatsoever. They'll go back, sleep well.
Yeah.
There's clearly psychopaths, you know, not wired correctly. But like you say, that guy there, he would happily get joy out of destroying someone's life. And, you know, there's just always going to be those kind of people.
I wonder what
Who's
makes
like-
those kind of people, like when it comes down to it, like they always, usually people default and say the family life, but like some of these people have a great family life, and like it's very interesting how some people have that ability to do it with no remorse. And I would love to like analyze it, because I wonder if it has anything to do with, say, like pharmaceuticals. I wonder if it has anything to do with the content that they were exposed to as a kid. Like maybe they're allowed to watch R-rated movies from like the age of 3. You know, maybe that early childhood. Or again, most of it usually comes down to the parents or how they're treated in school, I would say. But I'd love to go on like a deeper level, because there are some like people who are like, they like torturing animals and they had a great family life, you know, and, or just like I don't know. It's interesting how different people can be, and we all look very similar.
The thing is as well is that some of these mass murderers and some of these bad guys are genuinely genius people. Like they have talents that they could do so much good with. Like I think it was I think it was Ted Bundy or something like that. Like intellectually, the dude was like
Super
extremely smart. You know, you could have a proper intellectual conversation with people, but you know, at night it'd just go around doing absolute madness to women. And it's crazy how, you know, what took them, again, like you said, most of these murder documentaries is as a kid they got, you know, some bad shit happened to them.
But Ted Bundy wasn't that.
But that's what I'm saying. There's some kids who just had a great upbringing, and at what point did they? Was it a girl that said, you know, he wanted to get with her, and she was like, oh no, you know, fuck off, I don't like you, you're ugly, etc., etc. And then that was like, that just triggered something in his brain, like, hold on, I don't like all girls, you know, or he done it once, and then maybe he got like a feeling out of that was like someone who smoked their first joint or done crack for the first time. And then they get addicted to that feeling of doing it again and again and again. And they can't help themselves. Because at the end of the day, everyone has addictions, whether they're for good or whether they're for bad. And I think maybe that addiction to killing is similar to, you know, crack or some sort of drug. It's just at what point in their life did they do the first thing, or what set them off? I don't know. Interesting, man.
Well, apparently in America, and I'm just going off what Joe Rogan said, so I can't exactly quote it, but he said that apparently most, if not all, of the major school shootings that have happened in like the past 5 years, the shooters have all been on some sort of pharmaceutical that was prescribed to them. And so that's really interesting, but they'll never have that conversation ever, because now you're going up against the pharmaceutical companies, and
that's big money.
That is like no joke, big money. Not even big, just big money, big control, because like they know what they're putting in that stuff, and they know how to control people. So I like to I would think that that probably has some sort of influence on the rise of violence, because it seems like, I mean, I remember being 13. No, I remember being 8, and some of my classmates, like, at lunch, they'd have to take their pills or whatever, and even at, like, 13, and, like, I was jealous of that, because I'm like, well, why do they, like, I want to take, like, because, and so, like, looking back on that, it's pretty crazy, because, like, they're prescribing kids, like, ADHD pills and, like, all this stuff, when, like, a kid is, like, the character, what they say ADHD is, kids, that this describes young kids, you know? And so to manipulate the brain like that, I can't see it like having a positive effect, like a long term.
Yeah, it's like this conversation with like depression, and you know, it's hard for me. I'll put my hands up and say it's hard for me to speak on depression because I've never been a person or have experienced any person who has been close to me that has had depression, or because they call it like clinical depression and all these kind of things. It's hard for me to speak on it. So granted, you know, I'll stick my hands up on that point, but I remember reading some studies, or recently they said that it's all like, you can't really be you're not wired to have depression kind of thing. It's like, it's like everything is kind of like in your head. And I think personally that the brain is very, very powerful, a very, very powerful place. And I think you have the ability to control a lot of the things that you feel, your emotions, etc., by just thinking the right things and being around people who help enforce those things that you want to have happen to you, if that makes sense. So, you know, it's like, you know, I can't remember where I saw this from, but it's like, okay, if you're fat and you're overweight, etc., and you feel depressed, you know, why don't you get like go to the gym and get a 6-pack first and see if you still feel the same way, you know? And then some people may say, oh, okay, well, I can't get to that point, you know, kind of thing. But what are you thinking, you know? And again, I've never had someone who, I don't want to sound naive at all or anything in that way, because I've never really experienced depression, or never been around someone who's had depression to the point whereby it's like everyone has their bad days, right?
Right.
You know, where they just think to themselves, oh, fuck this, you know, I can't be asked to work today. I'm just chill in bed. Or, you know, they have the off days, but like there's varying scales of people who just like are really, really bad. And then some people who are on those kind of levels. But again, it's an interesting conversation, but I think the brain itself is a very, very powerful thing, and you can almost, it's like a placebo effect. Right, you know, like some people, there's been plenty of studies of the placebo effect of, you know, giving someone something and they think it's something else, but then there's been tests whereby when they analyze the levels in the brain, it's like they've actually taken it, even though they didn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, there's those kind of things, and it's just really interesting to think and question about, you know, so many different things on that.
Yeah, it's like the reason I disagree with it, and I'm no fucking psychiatrist, right? I don't know, but there has been fetishized in a way, or popularized, like the whole depression community and all that. And I think the terrible thing about the pharmaceutical company is it kind of seems like they're coming in and taking advantage of that. And what that's basically doing is like you see like your farm on fire outside, and you just hang up a sheet so you don't see the fire anymore, instead of going and dealing with the fire. Like I think by doing that, it's like you're trying to change chemical imbalances in the brain to correct ones, but you got to find the source. You got to find the source. Like, where's the source? Like, and fix the source. Like, I heard someone talking about it. Like, someone was like, no girl wants me because I'm sad and fat. But no, wait, no. What he's like, I'm sad and fat, and no girl wants me. It's like, no, and therefore I'm depressed. It's like, no, I forget. I mixed it, but basically it was saying, it was like he was kind of saying how like he's depressed because no girl wants him, when really he's depressed because of his current state physically, and because of that no girl wants him. You know, so it's like instead of like trying to fix like why, like that's the source, right? Like I've always said that progression cures depression, like the progression in anything. Like I've always noticed, like if I'm feeling off, if I work on anything and I progress in it, even if it's like a song, or even if it's like a video, even if it's like traveling to do podcasts, even if it's like as simple as like going to town on like a fucking like drawing, or like even like trying to, even like, this is probably the worst example, but like playing like a like a campaign on like a video game, like progression in anything. I think cures depression for sure. And so, but ideally you'd want it in the real life, right? You don't want it in the fake life. So, yeah, I think that's better. And again, I'm not a psychiatrist, but it seems like that's better. Every time I talk to someone who's on antidepressants, they end up they're like, fuck, I wish I could get off these, but when I do, I get fucked. Like I feel fucked up.
But the thing is that it's more beneficial for the corporations to prescribe, because everything's a money machine, right?
Yeah.
Everything's a money machine. Everything. And if they aren't making money from it, there's this amazing video that I watched recently, and I can't remember where it was. I think it was from I can't remember where it was from. I think it was from like a Luke Belmar video, I think it was.
Oh yeah.
He was doing a stream, I think it was, and there was one video that he played. It's an old video. It's like 2019, I think it came out, but it's literally played out everything that is now true. It's like it's more true now than when the video actually went live, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like everything, like corporations, everyone's a drone, everyone's attached to their phones, which is then ran by the algorithms, which is ran by Facebook, who are then feeding you the junk, which the media companies are being pumped by corporations who are feeding you the information that they want, not specifically that you need. You know, they're prescribing and coming up with new diseases and all these kind of things, and then giving you, because like imagine if you personally live in a world where you can prescribe a disease, right, or something along the lines of a disease or a problem or an issue, yet you're able then to provide them with the solution and make billions of dollars off it.
Yeah.
Rather, you know, and this is what's happening in real time. You know, corporations and whoever, you know, kind of runs the world are coming up with all of these different ways to break people down and, you know, et cetera, and provide the solution while still maintaining control of everything. You know, it's much beneficial for them to give you a pill, which they're making money from, than to say, you know, go read these books, go to the gym, go and, you know, do X, Y, and Z. Here, just take this pill.
We saw with COVID, like not one word ever was muttered about get sunlight, go get exercise, lose weight, even though that all had effect. No, it was all stay inside until we tell you the solution is here in the form of an injection. Like, I thought that was like very strange, you know, because they can't make any money off sunlight and they can't make any money off of people losing weight. Actually, if people lost weight, they would lose money, because not only are they going to be more healthy, so they're not going to be as affected by that, say COVID specifically, but also they're going to be less likely to develop diabetes. They're going to be less likely to develop all these other diseases if they're a fit person. That's why the CDC never talks anything about just becoming like a healthy person. Like, God forbid anybody say limit your sugar intake, because you don't want to fuck with big sugar. Like, big sugar has manipulated so much in like history, especially, I don't know about like UK, but I'm sure obviously it's all here, but like, do you know about the saturated fat thing in the 50s?
No, enlighten me. No.
So low fat options came in the 50s because big sugar was able to manipulate the data to basically show people like, oh, fat is what is making you fat, when really they were pumping sugar into all these products. So then they started offering low fat options, but low fat literally means more sugar to replace the taste of the fat. And so it was just more. And then like another crazy thing about the sugar companies is they do some sort of like government loans. Yeah. And if these big sugar companies ever default on government loans, it's in the bill where they can pay off their loan in sugar.
That's insane.
Isn't that insane?
That's crazy.
And so God forbid that a government entity ever say anything bad about sugar, because they're in cahoots, you know? And it's just like this cycle where I remember I visited my friend Gary and Jones in LA, and this was the first time I ever looked at a nutritional bottle on like a thing, because he mentioned something about how much sugar is in ketchup. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of sugar in ketchup? And he goes, pull up the nutritional label. And I pulled it up, and it was 8 grams of sugar per 2 tablespoons. I'm like, what? And he goes, now look up barbecue sauce. I saw one barbecue sauce. It was like 13 grams of sugar per 2 tablespoons. And he goes, now look at this. And he showed me his barbecue sauce, 0 grams of sugar. And and then like he also made me this shake. It was like 40 grams of protein, 100 calories, and it tasted just like a milkshake.
Yeah.
And he's a really smart guy. And I'm like, Gary, like, I don't understand, like, why wouldn't, like, the world as a whole be pushing, like, this instead of, like, a 1,200 calorie milkshake, 144 sugar? And, like, why would they not do sugar-free barbecue sauce and ketchup, right? This. And he goes, it's all part of the cycle. People, they get forced to sugar, and then they get sick. And they get forced to sugar. Sugar companies make money. Then they get sick. Then they go to the hospitals. The hospitals make money. Then the hospitals prescribe them pharmaceuticals. Then the pharmaceuticals make money. And it's all a cycle. It's all a monetary cycle that you're just perpetually in. And I think we've never seen a more obvious example of that until lately, when, like, one word was never mentioned about maintaining health.
Yeah. And I think the world, I think a lot of people have woken up since everything has happened. Because I think, like, let's be real, like, the world is going to become more and more and more, like, they're going to try and enforce, like, more and more red tape every single decade.
Yeah.
You know, like, in London, literally, there is a camera on every single block.
Dude, I noticed
You know,
that. I'm like, this looks like a police
No,
state
listen,
out
it is
here.
it pretty much, like in China, they've already got that stuff now.
Yeah.
You know, like, they've got facial recognition in, like, everywhere. So you can't walk down the street or commit any crime or do anything. Well, crime's not good anyway, but, you know, do anything without them recognizing your face.
Well, yeah, crime in there and what they consider crime.
Yeah. So, you know, but over here, kind of like, I was literally driving. That's what I'm saying. I was driving. I was like, there's a camera there. There's a camera there. There's a camera there. There's a camera. Like, if you've done any sort of crime, like, and even jumped in your whip and tried to, like, scur off somewhere, like, you're literally going to get caught. It doesn't matter where you are. And I think over the years, and we were talking about this earlier about electric cars. You know, imagine if they then just limit the electric cars of how fast you can go on a certain. Okay, you haven't done X, Y, and Z. All right, we'll turn your whip off. You know, you can't drive nowhere. Or, you know, you get into a certain area and instead of speeding, you can't speed anymore. They literally just limit stuff, because they do it on scooters now. If anyone's driving a scooter, not like an actual scooter, but like those ones that you can get, you know, in like Paris and those cities, they can do like electric scooters. When you get to a certain place, it will just literally just die out on you and go like super slow. You know, maybe that might come into place. Again, they've talked about having digital currency, and digital currency is coming. Like, there's no two ways about it. Digital currency, it's just it's not a matter of like if, it's a matter of like when it's going to happen. And then if digital currency comes into effect, it's then they can literally limit, the corporations then can limit how much, if you're an employee, how much money you make. Oh, okay, you haven't done X, Y, and Z, you know, maybe you don't get paid that much, or then you want to spend money on certain things, you can't do it. You know, like, you go and try and buy some, if they wanted to limit how much, you know, how much cigarettes you smoke, then you can't spend it if it's all digital currency, you know, and your banking's all digital and all those kind of things. Maybe that might become, you know, something that gets into place, but I think we're years away from that.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Is it true that out here on the cigarette packaging, they have like pictures of like deformed babies and stuff?
Yeah, they have some crazy pictures.
Really?
Yeah. It's like, so it depends, like, but all on the different packaging, they will have like inside of lungs all like fucking moldy and like disgusting shit, but it don't put people off. It don't put people off at all, though. Like, if you're addicted to cigarettes, you're addicted to cigarettes, bro. Like, you will get it, you will open up the packet, and you will, you know, it probably turns off a fraction of % of how many people.
Is it on the wrapper, or is it on like the actual packaging? Like, does the wrapper of that come off, or does it like literally they got to carry that around with them?
That's a good question. I think it's on the box. I don't think it's on the actual cellophane, you know, that they take off. I don't think it's on that. I think it's actually on the box.
Damn.
But I think, I'm not sure which side it's on. So I'm not sure if it's on the side where people open the cigarettes, or
Probably
if it's
not.
on the back.
Yeah, I bet it's on the back.
That's a good question. So after this, I'll have to pull it up and see which side it's on, because I'll be interested to see which side it's actually on. Because if it's on the side of the hand, right, people are just going to pull them out and just, they're not going to notice it. But I think it might be on the front. It's a good question.
Oof. I wonder how that got passed. You know, that's such a weird one, because it's not like that anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, it's because smoking indoors got banned over here. So it was all the whole passive smoking thing. So the reason why, because previously before you used to be able to smoke in clubs. You go to a club and people would be smoking like everywhere, dance floor, whatever it may be.
You can do that in like Paris, right?
Yeah, you can actually. I think you can. Can you do that in the States?
No.
No.
But I know like Berlin, you can do it. I know like a lot of places in Europe, like
Yeah.
it's very accepted. Like Spain, I believe too, right?
Yeah, so a lot of clubs. So that used to be able to do that here, and then there were studies or God knows, but essentially passive smoking became a thing. So if we're all smoking in a room and you don't smoke, then you're still inhaling the smoke and still get lung cancer. So what they then done is they passed that, so you can't smoke indoors anymore. But I don't know if that was linked to the thing on the packaging. I'm not sure when that came in. But very interesting. Again, I don't smoke, never have, so it's a bit of a weird one why they do that. But some of the pictures are ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bad.
I've only heard about it. I didn't know if it was like 100% real or not. I just realized I didn't do the manual focus on these cameras. I'm sure we're fine, but when I did Umar's interview, like, I don't know if you saw that one or not, but it was horrible. Like, he wore a shirt that was the same color as like a building way behind him.
Yeah.
And the whole time it was like autofocus on him, and then like this sheet, and then like the building, then back to him, and it was like going crazy. So ever since then I've been doing manual, but I'm sure it's fine. Like,
it doesn't matter. They'll see two of me anyway, so.
But oh yeah,
They'll see
yeah,
two,
exactly.
so one of them hopefully should be in front.
You know, it'd be funny if I put the camera so like it was like facing like from this angle, and like you're like looking up the whole time, and like it would be. I always thought it'd be weird to do a podcast. What if I set up the camera like facing you directly, and then mine facing me directly?
That'd just be like a YouTube video. That's what we normally shoot, a YouTube video.
It'd be like you'd be putting the viewer right into both of our bodies. I think no one's ever done that with podcasting.
That could be another way to do things.
Yeah.
You should try it out on the next one, man.
It's very it sounds very dystopian. Like, actually, speaking of dystopian, when I went to New York City, I went during NFT NYC. Talk about dystopian, dude. Like,
how was that?
It was weird. Like, all of Times Square, every ad was like an NFT, this crypto, this, and like everywhere I'm walking, like people were wearing NFT shirts, and like it just kind of made me sad a little bit because it seemed like people were giving up on the real world already.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I was thinking about this the other day, and it was like, okay, realistically, if we think about it, the government could literally turn off crypto like this. If they wanted, crypto, like if the government and higher ups wanted to turn off crypto, they could turn it off like this. You know, like BlackRock has, I think it's like $10 trillion under management, and they own everything, bro.
Yeah,
like they own absolutely everything.
They own 1 in 6 single family homes in America.
I was reading actually about banks and stuff like that in America just buying houses, and like, you know, they can turn off, or they could make some sort of legislation, which China's done multiple times, saying crypto is banned, etc., and all those kind of things. But, you know, I think crypto has, it's like we talked about before with all the digital currency. Crypto is kind of like the gateway for normal people who want to still have their you know, their individuality and have their own keys and want to do their own digital banking and all those kind of things. Is like kind of like that hope for people to not it be so centralized, but they can still kind of like, if they just want to click their fingers and say, okay, all crypto is banned, or find USDT being not backed, and everything goes to zero, like that. What's that dude who I don't know if you've seen him. What's that guy? The old guy. He talks the most waffle ever.
Oh, Dan Pena.
Yeah.
Putin,
zero.
Yeah, Putin invented Bitcoin, he says.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that dude. Oh, and he said, what did he say? He's worth like 10 billion or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But he just seems like a sour guy. He sounds like Charlie Munger. Charlie Munger said that Bitcoin is rat poison. It just sounds like some people who they knew about it so early and they didn't take advantage of it, and they know in the back of their heads like the exact amount they'd be worth if they did. Yeah. And it just sounds like some sour old men, you know.
But it's like I think those kind of people have, like, let's face it, old people are very stuck in their ways. Yeah. Like, if you've got grandparents, you know, the older generation, like you tell them about something and they're like, you know, back in our day we didn't do X, Y, and Z, or this isn't. They've really got old traditions. Yeah. So I think they're very much stuck in that. And nowadays it's very much you either adapt or you die. You know. So I think. And it'll be weird because, like, our generation, we've grew up with kind of like on the cusp of not having technology to now having technology, you know? So, like, this new generation, it's like they just have smartphones, iPhones. Like, I walk down the street, I see, like, 5-year-olds with iPads, crazy. Bro. Like, they take their kids to the food places and they just stick it there with an iPad and just let it do whatever.
How scary is it going to be when instead of an iPad, it's Oculus? Can you imagine? That's for sure coming.
That's insane.
I'll never do that. You know, Steve Jobs never allowed his kid to play with an iPad. So why the fuck should I? You know,
that's insane. Like the guy who invented the thing, and this is a question for you actually. What's your thoughts on? Because I've been thinking about this recently. Like, what's your thoughts on leaving kids? Because let's say like we work hard, right? Like, and we like everyone probably watching this is into business and wants to make multiple millions, etc. Right? Like, what do you feel about leaving kids a shit ton of money? When you pass away?
That's funny. I asked this question to Iman yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess my opinion would be, it's hard because leaving. I don't know about leaving them, but because like the money's got to go somewhere, right? I think. Yeah. You know, ideally, what I would want to do is leave them real estate, because what I was thinking about is like, do you know how much easier, in the sense of like clarity of mind, life would be if like, and I know like this is a bad way to think, but I'm just saying like, say like I found out tomorrow I inherited a house all paid for in California, in LA. Mm. Do you know how peace of mind that would be? Because now it's like, okay, no matter what I pursue, I at least have this. You know, I say a lot of what I do is like it's a lot of what everyone does is getting the house, getting the mortgage, paying off the mortgage, and then working to pay off the mortgage the whole time. But like to leave my kids a nice house that they can stay at, and if I have multiple kids, a house for fucking each of them. I don't see that really as spoiling them as much so as allowing their brain to operate differently than the average person in the world, because most people are either working to pay rent or they're working to pay their mortgage. And so if my kids, when I go, don't have to worry about either of those, I think the creative outflow of their brain is going to be immense. Now, in terms of actual cash, it's hard. Like, just so you know the answer, Iman told me that he would leave his son absolutely nothing, but if he had a daughter, he'd give her like 10 million. But the son, absolutely nothing. So when it comes to myself, like I've always, like growing up as a kid, I was telling him like for birthdays, we'd get a maximum of $50 in a gift, and for Christmas $100, which I was grateful for. But I also know like that doesn't go far away when it comes to like gifts. So like when it comes to like that sort of stuff, like I've always wanted to spoil my kids. Like I think it'd be so cool to give my kid a car, like a nice car when he was 16, because my whole high school career, dude, I drove the worst car. Like it had been in a major accident, so the right side didn't work, and I was like, I remember being so embarrassed of pulling up everywhere and realizing I had the worst car in the fucking parking lot.
I used to do this. The first car that I ever had was a Ford Fiesta, right? Wasn't an old one. You probably don't know what they look like.
I know a Ford Fiesta.
Ford Fiesta, yeah. Right? But it wasn't the old looking one. It was kind of like a mid shape, but it was cool. Crashed it. Yeah, I was speeding with the boys, etc. Hey. I go straight over a roundabout, wheel mash up, and I get this old Citroen Saxo, right? Do you know what one of those?
What is that?
Like? Citroen Saxo.
No, I never heard of that.
Citroen Saxo. I'll show you after. Old one, silver thing, right? And the wing mirror bust off it, and I used to sellotape the wing mirror on the driver's side, and it just reminded me what you said about driving the worst car. When I used to go to link the boys, I used to park it round the corner, get out and walk to the club and stuff, because I didn't want to see I didn't want to see no one to see me to get in that whip, you know, because it was busted. Like the wing mirror, I had to keep taping it every like 3 days because it was just falling off.
Well, what was funny about me back then is like, I liked when people laughed with me or even at me. Like, as long as I was getting a laugh, I was good. So, like, in a way, I, like, kind of took pride about it. If you look back in, let's see, I must have made the video, that would have been, like, 2011. So, like, 11 years ago, I made a video about it where, like, I review it. And it's just, like, because, like, the entire right side smashed in. So, like, if I had, like, say, like, this was right when I started, like, maybe going on dates for the first time, the girl would have to climb over my lap to get to like the passenger seat. But I'll never forget, I didn't know my brother had been in a crash, right? So it was a 99 white Honda Accord, Civic actually, and we shared the car. So I remember I was skateboarding outside, and then I saw my brother get in it. He threw a skateboard in, and he pulled off like this, and when he backed out like this, and I was over here, and I go, what the? And he was like, what are you pointing at? And I'm like, he tried to roll down the window and it wouldn't roll down. I'm like, look at this. Like, what happened? And he got out. He's like, what the? And it was like all smashed in. And we just thought it was funny. Yeah. And so we pulled up to the skate park, dude. the first time in this car, and there's probably like 30, 40 people at the skate park. We pull in, and the whole skate park just starts pointing and laughing, and we were cracking up too, like, because like, I don't know, I've always had that sense of like, if I'm making someone laugh, I'm happy, but like, at the time I took pride in it, but looking back, like, eventually it got old quick. And so like, when it comes to like my kids, I'd love to not give them that experience. I'd love to give them the best car in the lot, you know, but I don't see myself ever giving kids, like my kids, cash. Like, that seems like when you start to like really diminish, like, give them a nice car, give them a nice place to live, but like when it comes to handing them cash, like on a monthly basis, that's kind of, how do you convince them to get a minimum wage job after that? You can't.
I'm kind of like in the same, cause it's like, and that's why one of the things, because like I know some people who are just 100% in crypto, like there's no other investments. They don't care about stocks, don't care about housing, property. It's just, I'm either Lambo or I'm poor.
Right.
You know, there's no in between. Whereas I've kind of always been a little bit like risk adverse. That's why I made sure the first like major things that I purchased was like a property. The only reason why I got the property was because my dad basically said, just get one, you know, get one now, because while you're making money and while you're still working your job, you know, you can, it's easier to get a mortgage that way, you know, because you only need like 3 months.
Oh, right.
You know, 3 months paychecks, and they'll give you
You
a
only
mortgage.
need 3 months here?
Yeah.
Fuck, you need 2 years back home.
No, they'll give you a mortgage, right?
Damn.
Providing that you're making, you know, the it's like 3x or something along those lines. And when you're a first time buyer, you can get away with just putting down 10%. So you can buy like an 80 grand house with like 8 grand, you know, to start with.
It's 3% back home.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Is it 3%?
Yeah, 3.5% for first time home buyers. But you need the 2 years.
Oh, you need the 2 years of, So ours is a little bit different over here. You need, I think, I'm not sure if it's changed, but it used to be like 10, it's like 10%. And then obviously the mortgage. But like, going back to what you said is like having, I think it's important to people to not diversify. When you're making money, have your breadwinner, which is, you know, whatever it's going to be, ecom, etc., etc. But having like houses, because if everything, God forbid, you know, if I died tomorrow, right? I've not got kids or anything like that, but some people have multiple millions in passwords on crypto.
Oh, good point.
That no one any of their families know about. And their family will be living in literally like some of them poverty. And some of these guys have made tons of money, you know, which is amazing because it would literally transform generational wealth.
Yeah.
But like, it's all on this little stick. And like, even if they access it, they wouldn't know none of the fuck to do with it.
Right.
Like, how do I even send it? How do I get it? How do I withdraw it? Etc. Etc. Whereas I just think property is just one of those things whereby you hand it over and that's it. You know, like you get the checks every single month. You know, you get the checks. So for me, I'm kind of in the same boat, whereby if you take care of their primary necessities that they need, in terms of, again, most people get a 9-to-5 job to pay off their house, etc. Like you kind of said, you know, once that's kind of like taken care of and they don't have to worry about that, and they're getting checks that cover their living and, you know, maybe a little bit more, whatever it may be, depending on, you know, if it's paid off, etc., and the rental income, then it allows people to, it gives them that safety net. If that makes sense. They can jump as high as they want, but they're always going to have that safety net unless they sell the house. And it's easy to manage, you know. Just get a rental or just get a real estate and, you know, get the thing. And I think you also have to appreciate being broke. No, I think you have to go through being broke to appreciate being rich. Yeah. You know, like some of these Arabs and sheikhs, Imagine having so much money from the time you're 12. You could get anything with the click of a fingers. Yeah. Like, that's a completely different life. Like, nothing really has any sort of value then. You know, you get to 16, you got a Lamborghini. Like, what's next? Right. You know, some of the best times, and like we kind of had this previously before, like the best times is when you start to make that money. Fuck yeah. You know, and you just have that freedom to go and do those little things that you could never previously do before. You could go out and buy that little designer, whatever it may be, and not worry about it. Or you can go and chill with your friends and not worry about it. They're like the best times, you know. So I think once you take care of people's necessities, like the kids' necessities stuff, then, you know, who knows? You could do a Bill Gates and just give it all away to charity or something. Right.
Well, in terms of the crypto stuff, like, if they're smart, they would have, like, because what you can do, for example, what I did with my parents is, like, I gave them I didn't give them my seed phrase because there's no reason for them to have that, but I gave them like, I forget. I gave them like the password to my cold wallet, which they can activate if God forbid anything happened. They keep that in like a safe deposit box and like all this stuff. And I wrote instructions on what to do, just in case, you know, because like you said. Yeah. But even on like Robinhood, you can add. I forget what you exactly call it when like you add someone as a subsidiary or something. Like if something were to happen, it can this account can default to them. But like you're right, a lot of people, they don't think to do that, and like if the worst of the worst happens, then like that money's gone.
It's gone, and most people are working for that to provide for those people.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, and then for it all to just be gone in that split second. Obviously, it takes a black swan event, but you never know what's around the corner. You know, and it's a shame that if everyone's working so hard to provide for, because everyone wants to provide and give the best life to their loved ones, right? For that just to go like that and not leave any instructions or any kind of, you know, way for them to access X, Y, and Z. That's why I just think having at least, you know, a property in your belt. If you're making money, just get yourself a property.
I've been thinking about that too. Like with the property values coming down, like where I live right now, I would not live in St. Louis if it wasn't for Clayton. Clayton is such a cool slice of little heaven that is just like right there, dude. Yeah. And there's like a really nice house that popped up recently for only $400K. And I'm thinking about just buying that. I can rent it to my friends and just like keep a room. Just like to keep a room, because at least I can start building that portfolio. Because I think a lot of my anxiety, especially in the past 3 years, has specifically come from where am I going to live next? Like I even talked to you about this today. I was like, I'm moving in 2 months. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go. Like, and like, it's funny. I met Iman yesterday, and at the cigar thing, I told him, we were smoking a cigar. I'm like, yeah, I'm moving in 2 months. I don't know where I'm going to go. And we haven't even met each other. And even he said that. I feel like that's the most you thing I've ever heard, because apparently he listens to my podcast. Yeah. So it seems like I'm in this repetitive cycle of like, okay, where am I going to go next? And like to have a place that no matter what I can go to, because I can't go to my parents' house. You know, I might be able to go to my grandma's house, but she doesn't even have Wi-Fi, you know. Yeah. But a place that I have my own, that no matter what, it's way different than renting. Yeah. I think just peace of mind sort of like deal is like, that would be ideal. So like I'm thinking about it, because I noticed like they listed it at like 425, and then they dropped it 10, and now they dropped it 20. And so like I'm seeing the cracks form in real estate. So it's a matter of like when to start deploying in a sense. So I'm just glad I didn't buy a house before, because I saw, you know, Ricky Gutierrez.
He does a YouTuber,
yeah,
right?
Stocks and cars and stuff. And he was posting on his stories yesterday. It's like, look how crazy this is. And he was showing a house in Arizona that was listed in, I think it was like February, for $2.7 million. And they kept cutting the price. And right now it's down to $1.6 million. Can you imagine if you bought it for 2.7 and then you saw your home price? Like, dude.
The thing is, right, is like at that point, because then that can cause real issues. Because unless you're buying it out cash or something like that, yes, you're taking a loss and you can hold on to it. But if you get a mortgage on those, and your mortgage at the 2.6 mil, and now even if you remortgage it, whatever it may be, you're then in negative equity. Yeah. You know, so then you're fucked. Yeah. Right. So that's why sometimes with property, although people do say you can never lose in property, and traditionally, if we look at the historical of data, you can't really lose, right? Because they're not building as many houses as people are having kids. So there's always going to be a shortage of housing, right? Which is, over the years, it's always going to continue to go up. But buying at the wrong time can also be detrimental. Yeah. But you know, if an offer comes on the table, and having that place and that secure peace of mind it just helps you, you know. And also you can still make money off it from, again, depending on the area, you could lease it out by Airbnb, or you could rent it out to friends, you know, and still make an income off it, while holding through the down parts. And then obviously when it goes back up, you're still going to have that capital appreciation if it's still there. Right. So, you know, if it was me, or any more young person like watching this video, and you've got some cash, I would recommend you just looking, you know, and understanding the process of how to purchase a house. And because like you say, if everything goes shits up, you've got a house. You know, you've got that there. It's physical. You can touch it. It's there. Yep. It's not like this crypto money, or it's not like this ecom shit that, you know, your parents won't know what to do with it. You know, if I died tomorrow, my VAs will be messaging me like, you know, you got bills to pay.
Yeah,
you know, like, so it's good just to have it there. And if it's something comes up at the right price and it makes sense to do so, I was shit scared at first. I was like,
right,
fuck, I don't want to put all this money into this house. And what happens if I, you know, like, what happens if no one wants to rent it and X, Y, and Z? I was like, that was the fear to start with. But then once you understand how the game goes, you really honestly, it's enjoyable. You know, it can be enjoyable. And just having that place there that you can call your own and go back to at any point, you can always rent it out. Because like I say, there's always rental demand. Even if you're breaking even, you know, which is very rare. But even if you're breaking even, you get your mortgages X, you're renting it out for X, give or take a service charge from the estate agent, you can always still get that paid for while you're doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of property.
And then 30 years down the line when you have all those mortgages paid off. See, that's my ideal situation. Like I was telling you, I want a house in LA, a house in Colorado. Like it'd be so cool to own. I want a house in St. Louis just because it's around my family, right? And also like my mentor told me this, like he's like, the benefits of having a house where you know that no matter what you can go and the people around you are there for the right reasons and you don't have to question anything is like immense. So a house in St. Louis, buy a house in Colorado, buy a house in fucking LA, even if it's just those three, and say then I fucking go to South Africa for like 5 years and I rent all those out, whatever, say like fast forward 30 years and I'm retired at what, 50, 56. Now it's like, okay, now I have all these properties that are paid off and now they're mine. I don't even have to worry about renting them out. Now I can jump from here to here to here and all I'm paying is property tax, the electricity bill, the water bill, etc. But, you know, some people are anti-property. Like some people, it was surprising actually, Iman owns no property.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until yesterday.
I think he's been looking like, I think the last video or one of the last videos that he made that he watched that's kind of like the next step for him.
Yeah.
Is to looking to buy, I think, for like £2 million houses or £3 million.
No, yeah, that was funny because I asked him it and he was like, yeah, I don't own any property, but I'm just waiting for the cracks to start forming so I can deploy $10 million.
Just a casual, you know. Yeah, but again, that's what I'm saying. You can't really lose with it. And I think, and most millionaires, you know, like most millionaires, especially here in the UK, because like all these buildings that we see here, they're all owned by
I
like
can't imagine
billionaires
like
and millionaires.
That mall we went to. That's why I was like, who owns this
like,
shit?
literally, they all own, because London property just went like that. Like it's kind of like buying down here doesn't make sense to buy it down here now unless you're buying something which you are going to purchase and then hope on capital appreciation. But capital appreciation went through the roof anyway.
What's capital appreciation?
It means basically if you bought it for 100k 10 years ago, it's now worth 1.2 million.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So capital appreciation has gone up. That's why most people down here, like old couples and stuff like that, purchased their house back in when wages were able to purchase these kind of houses. It makes sense to do so, and now the houses have just gone like that. Whereas now, like young people who are, again, wages haven't caught up with, you know, how much the houses have gone up that much. It's hard for people to get on the ladder. And also, if you want to buy something here and rent it out, the yields aren't as attractive as an investor. So if you're going to buy a house, then you can rent it out. Your mortgage is going to be like 1,500, whatever it may be, and you may not be able to charge that much more. Again, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially that much more. Whereas if you used to purchase a house in the north, right, you could purchase a house for, let's say, 80 grand and charge like 5 or 6 bills. When I say bills, I mean like 100. Yeah. Just for the people who maybe USA, you know, I call it 6 bill. But £600 or $600. And your yield would be like 10%, much more attractive if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you'd be making more profit on a monthly basis. But you honestly can't really go wrong with property. Definitely.
No, almost never, unless you're talking like 2008 and you're getting like 50 subprime mortgages. That was the big one. This guy I know, he bought a house in Vegas in 2009 for $480,000. He rented it out for the next 11 years, on average about $8,900 a month for 11 years, and then sold it to that guy, I think, for like $4 million or something like that. Because like that's what I thought was about, and that's what easily could happen. Because back in that day, cash was king. If you had the cash to buy these houses, you could buy a house for 90% off, 95% off, because no one had the cash. Like, and banks just wanted to get their money no matter what, like as much money as possible. So if that were to happen again, because I was looking at my old screenshots and I remember like one of the screenshots from 2020 was like 70% of households haven't paid their mortgage in the past 3 months or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
But
Those cracks are showing now though, because there's like, I can't remember what it was, but there are statistics that I have seen where it's like a lot of people in the States are behind on payments.
yeah,
You know, and it may not be as bad as, because back in 2018 they were dishing out money. You could get a mortgage for like having a job for a month or something.
no,
ridiculous
they called them ninja loans. It was no income, no job, no problem. So you didn't have to show any sort of income or job even.
That's insane.
Yeah, you just needed the 3.5% first home buyers like down payment.
That is insane. So yeah, so like that's the extreme, you know. So I don't think it will go to that point that like that the housing market will crash like that bad. But I do, because what happened over here, especially, I think it was in the States as well, was like when COVID happened, they literally everything just pumped the market. And over here we have like a sales tax on the house that you have to pay, stamp duty it's called, and they got rid of stamp duty between when COVID happened because they wanted to pump the market more. So everyone was purchasing houses and people were putting their housing prices up and factoring in the stamp duty, and houses were just selling like hotcakes, you know. And I think every single asset class just went, and I think now it's at the point, obviously we're on probably the cusp of a recession,
If not already.
yeah, and everything's going down. So it's interesting times, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I like how they changed the definition of recession. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. That was like, that's stupid. Like, oh no, it's no longer 2 consecutive of negative GDP. It's never has been that. I think they argue that it was never has been that or something along those lines.
I don't know, dude. There's so much to keep up with, and like I don't know about you, but there was a point where like I got so obsessed with charts, looking at stocks, looking at crypto, that again I just forgot to live in the real world. It was like I was living in my own metaverse, where like it got so bad where like there was a point where I got so obsessed with it that I would be mad if I saw people like, say on Snapchat having like a good time, and I'm like, the market's down like 10% today. What, are you kidding me? Like, why is this person happy? Like I would get mad. It was a very brief like period, but I'd get mad when I saw people enjoying life when the markets were down. And then that's kind of when I had to like take a big step away and realize like, holy shit, like I'm allowing something that I can't control to control me. And then once I did that, I was fine. Like I was back at it.
Yeah, it's very easy for people to get like stuck into something when you consume something. It's like when I started drop shipping, I was so consumed. Like, I'll be honest with you, like drop shipping is not fulfilling and it's not really fun, if I'm being honest, right? It's not fulfilling and it's not fun, and any experienced dropshipper will tell you that if they're being 100% honest.
I completely agree.
It gives you cash flow. It's great for cash flow, etc., but it's not fulfilling and it's not fun. But there'll come a period in time is when you want to get to the point whereby you want to get out of maybe say the 9 to 5 or the grind or whatever shit situation that you're kind of in. You will go through a period of like intense kind of like concentration work, and it's unhealthy. And I went through a period of literally just working ridiculous, like hardly sleeping, and this whole Gary V hustle hard culture. Why are you sleeping? Sleeps for the week and all this kind of stuff. Now, dude, I want 8 hours sleep. Like, I want 8 hours sleep minimum. If I don't get 8 hours sleep the next day, I'm a drone. You know. But sometimes you can get so obsessed with something that it just becomes detrimental. It has the opposite effect. It's like that. I can't remember what it is. It's like a curve or some shit. And when you get to a certain point, it has like
diminishing
a
returns. Something like that.
That's it. Diminishing returns. You're no longer going up on the curve. You just start coming back down. You're actually doing more harm than good.
I've told this story before. I got so obsessed once with like drop shipping and building stores that there was one day I remember where I worked like 16 hours straight, and I was pissing in this big water bottle and pouring it out the fucking window because I didn't want to go out the room to the bathroom and break my concentration, dude. That was the most unhealthiest I'd say I got to, but I haven't done that since. It was literally, I think, 2 days.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like I was like, you know, again, just working. It's just like products. If I ain't doing this, I'm doing this. But to be fair, I will credit that period to where I'm at now, if that makes sense. I wouldn't recommend it because it's not healthy. But there will come a point in time where you will have to stop watching Netflix, stop going out with your friends, etc., etc. Not to the point whereby, you know, fuck you boys, I ain't coming out no more kind of vibe, but more of a case of if you have a goal and you have a destination, you have to make sure that you put the work into to actually, you know, to get there. Because like starting a business is not, it's like starting a business is easy, and it's easier than ever to make money in this day and age, because everything's so accessible. You know, you can make money from your phone, you can make money from literally anything, but the reality of that is become so accessible now that it's actually harder to make good money, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
You know, because there's so many, when everything becomes accessible, there's much more competition. And we'll just look at what happened with Facebook ads. You know, it was easy as how back in the day, and now it's much harder, and CPMs are much higher, and all those kind of things. So it's everything's just gonna continue to get harder, but I think the ones who will thrive will be the creatives. You know, the creatives who think outside the box,
right,
or continue to the cause.
Well, yeah. So that's how I feel like it's always been innate in my nature. Like I was telling Iman's assistant, because she picked me up at the thing, and like I have this weird thing that I've always had about myself, for like I have a strong desire to, one, not be told what to do, and secondly, not do anything like anybody else. So when I Googled one product dropshipping back in the day, and I saw no one was doing it, I think a lot of people would see that and be like, oh, it must be because it doesn't work. But in my brain, I was like, wait, I can do this differently than anybody now. And I think it's like those types of thoughts that really push you to the next level. Like the people who looked at music, like for example, Daft Punk. Daft Punk changed the landscape of music back from the 90s with what they were doing with electronic music. They didn't think like, well, no one else is really doing electronic music. Would people even like it? No, they're like, wow, this is exciting. This is like a new way for me to do it. And it seems like the people who have the most success in any industry decided to do it a completely different way. Like they can't be boxed into that normal thing. And for me, it's like I was telling you, I own like an AR-15 and a pistol. I had no desire to even buy a gun until I heard that they might be banning the AR-15. And so it's kind of that thing where like when you can't just take a cow and try to shove a cow into a farm, you have to lead them in, and that sort of thing. So like I know I kind of like crossed like two different ideologies there, but I think it's like it's really true. Like you were saying, as things get more competitive, you just got to think more outside the box, and that's how you're going to thrive.
Yeah. And I think one thing is like your video, because the first video I ever seen of yours was, I think it was the day in a life. I think it was either the Oberlo one or the day in a life one, because the day in a life one went viral, right?
Yeah, that was my first.
I think it was
one
of them ones. I think it was that one or one of the second ones, where you were just literally just doing stupid stuff, and it was hilarious. Like the amount of chewing gum that he had.
Oh yeah, that was part 2.
I got to the what's it? Oh yeah, that one was hilarious. I just thought, yo, this is a dope video, dude. And there was actually some people that believed it as well, I think, weren't there?
Very few, yeah. I tried to make it obvious, like that this isn't my like normal routine. Now the funny thing is, like, do you remember when I was like, all right, I'm about to go on this run, and I ran 5 miles? Do you remember that part?
No, I remember the gym part, the 4 gum one.
Okay, so it was between the gum and then the because I had the gum mouth. I'm like, let's go hit this fucking run, and then that's when I hit the run. And I ran 5 miles, and then I came back, and I'm just dripping in sweat. But one of the comments said, dude, quit lying to people. Obviously, you didn't just do a run. Look at your armpits. They're completely dry. Because if you look, my shirt's completely covered in sweat, all this, but my armpits were completely dry. But little does that fucker know is, like, I use this thing, like, probably once a month that you just rub into your arms, and it makes it so you don't sweat at all. Yeah. And so like if there was like a video to prove that product worked, it's that video, because like people are saying that I was faking because of how good that was working.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, that was a classic one, because that was the same methodology happened on that, because I started making dropshipping videos, and I'd do this thing where like when I thought of an idea, I'd write it down, and then I remember I was like Day in Life Pro Dropshipper, and I typed that into YouTube, and there was one video of some guy behind like a green screen talking about what he does on his average day, and it had like 300 views, and there was no video on Day in Life for Dropshipper. I'm like, fuck yeah, this is the one. I know it. And I remember I was sitting there, this is part 1, and I was sitting there, and my friend Caleb, he makes music. I use all of his music in it.
Yeah.
And as I'm posting, I'm like, I promise you, this is going to be the one that goes viral. I can see the patterns. This video has never been made before. It's entertaining. I know this is going to be the one, and ended up being the one. Yeah. And I think it just goes back to that fact of like, some people would see that and be like, oh, no one's made this video before. Must not, probably because it wouldn't do well.
Yeah.
But no, you like the people listening out there, like they gotta, like if you get anything from this, like you gotta, when you get that feeling, when you find those discoveries, that's how you know you're onto something, doing something that no one's done.
It's like going against the grain.
Exactly.
Going against the norm of what everyone else is. Like when everyone's going right, go left.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
And that's what like, I feel like that's what Mark Zuckerberg did when he like invented the Facebook, and like that's what Steve Jobs did. Like how crazy was it back then when like all these technology companies were offering so many different kinds of phones, so many different kinds of laptops. Dell, I mean, how many laptops does Dell sell, you know? And then this guy comes and he's like, we're just going to sell one computer, and then sells the hell out of that computer. And then I don't even know what came after like the iMac. It was the iMac. Oh, then the iPod, you know? And then this
iPod was crazy.
And the iPod was crazy.
And then the iPhone. Do you remember like BlackBerry?
Yeah.
Remember BlackBerry was like
BlackBerry.
popping. Everyone was like on BlackBerry BBM and all these kind of things.
And the
then,
Sidekick.
Yeah, and then like the iPhone came out and it was like, what is it? Touchscreen? Like what? Like what even happens here? Because like you was either team iPhone or you like team BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting an iPhone and I was like, wow, this is crazy. You know, this is insane. And then literally the cameras get better. You've got camera on there, and then all of a sudden you've got all your apps on there.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you've got radio, video recording. Literally everything that you need is all in that one thing. And it's like Elon Musk as well, like going against the grain of everything. You know, like this Neuralink shit that he's building.
Yeah.
Like a chip in your
Crazy.
head. Like that's supposed to like repair stem cell. I don't even know what it is, but it's like. That's some crazy shit.
That's the real fusion of humans, and that's the Matrix, actually. And that's what happens in the Matrix. It's the timeline, you know? But it's crazy to see the Neuralink thing, because that is the real fusion of human and computer. And honestly, if that does end up working, hate to say it, anyone who doesn't get that shit's going to be left far behind in the dust, because anyone who has that is going to be thinking on such a high level that the normal brain, the normal person with the normal brain, it'd be like trying to operate in the world right now without an iPhone, like trying to start a business without an iPhone. Good luck. It's like
when I actually think about this, I think like imagine Neuralink, and I'm not sure like what the whole white paper is, right? But imagine you can like access the internet or something like with the chip.
No, that is it.
And like do a calculation like with the chip.
Yep.
Like if I said what's 3044 times XY, you know, whatever it may be, and you're just able to just to go, yep, it's blah blah blah.
You'll be able
to.
That
would be insane, dude.
That's why like I'll be first in line, because if the Neuralink plays out the way the iPhone did, there's gonna be a slim piece of history where you're gonna have an advantage on 99.999999999% of the entire world. And so for those like say like 10 to 30 years, you're going to have such a massive fucking advantage on everyone that can you imagine what you'd be able to accomplish when you know everyone around you's, when you're thinking on a level that's probably 400 times every single brain that's around you. Like it'll be like the limitless pill. But like there are risks there. Let's be honest.
But then like this is like thinking off the. This is going off on a cusp though, but like, do you think that is like in God's plan? Is that?
I had an argument with the girl I was seeing's mom about this, and it's hard because if that's not in God's, well, I'll tell you the argument. She was saying that, and I said, well, is the iPhone in God's plan? And then her response was, well, I can stop using the iPhone anytime I want, but you're still using it. And so just as crazy as it would be to tell somebody 20 years ago that when you go to a restaurant, you're going to see a lot of tables not talking to each other and looking at a screen. When you go on the subway, everybody's going to be looking down at a screen. That's going to sound crazy to people. And would that be in God's plan? I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, if God created everything, God created the ability to create this. Yeah. So to say that it's not God's plan, I feel like God already knows the plan. But dude, it's hard. It's because you're fusing like, now you're fusing something that is like so artificial with something that is so natural.
Yeah.
It's a very hard to answer question, but I always say that you're basically fused with your iPhone. Like it knows everything about you, and yeah, that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. And then we'll continue to push the barriers further and further and further until.
Hello? No, thank you. We're good. Oh, okay. Let me turn that do not disturb on. All right. Well, that was housekeeping right there. That's funny because, what podcast was I doing where the housekeeping came in? I think it was with Jordan Welch actually. The same thing happened where they knocked in and were like, "No, we're good on the housekeeping." That's so funny.
It's weird though, because it's like 6 p.m. What time is it now? Weird that they come at this time.
Yeah, that was suspicious for sure.
That's weird, super weird, right? Usually they come in the morning and then that's kind of it.
It won't even wait. Hold on. Right now the time is 10 o'clock. Damn, good thing I was in the room because that was a very suspicious housekeeping entrance. Oh, you know what it is? It's turn down service.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I learned about that for the first time in Costa Rica. Apparently at like 5-star hotels, they'll come in and like untuck your bed for you and like turn down the lights.
What, when you're in bed?
No, like assuming you're not
into
in.
sleep and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's weird.
They just like, they fluff up your pillows and like that bougie stuff.
That's crazy. That's weird.
Well, yeah, do you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, for sure.
How long do you think we went for?
2 hours.
Yeah, we're right at 2 hours. This was a really good one.
Yeah, no, I think we've had a deep conversation, man. And hopefully people got some value from it, and it helps people question and think about different things.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And that's what sometimes like you don't really have these conversations with people. Yeah. It's more like how to run Facebook ads, how to do this,
dude,
what sort of ROAS you getting, how do you do this,
yeah.
how are you testing, how are you scaling. So, I think this has been a great conversation, and obviously, likewise, meeting you today it's been good, man. Good to hang out, dude.
I agree. What are your socials for people to follow you?
Circling back to the question of how did you get your name, just Beast of Ecom and everything. So I made it easy for everyone. So Beast of Ecom on YouTube, but you won't find like podcast content. Just be like the usual questions.
Yeah.
Facebook ads, and then on IG, and then on Twitter. Yeah, just Beast of Ecom on everything.
Yeah, that's good because I know like Sebastian Guru. I can't pronounce his last name.
Either,
on Instagram, he's like @Seb, and on YouTube, he's like youtube.com/Seb. But then like his Twitter is like C. And then Bass, BASS, and then like 16 is like, oh, that's a left turn right there. Because I was trying to find him on Twitter for the longest, and I just assumed he didn't have a Twitter. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, because I was just searching Seb, Well, anyway, thank you for driving down from Birmingham, not Alabama. And yeah, this is a great combo.
Pleasure, my bro.
Thanks for having me. Well, wait, no. Thanks for coming now.
Peace.
Peace.